A woman hurriedly gathers her things before a man strangles her. An older woman witnesses this but does not intervene, and the story continues from there. Your Uncle Bimbo, who works as a dealer. Anyway, your Uncle Bimbo isn't convinced that she's just a dealer in the first place. So, he's standing with two guys, handling some business. But your Uncle Bimbo, who's really smart by the way, is paying close attention. They're setting him up, basically laying a trap for him, and they offer him a deal to split all the goods he has with them. Friends and buddies are different. Friends may drift apart for no reason. They refuse and mock him, saying, "You're Bimbo, what's up with you?" He runs off and they chase him. He boards the bus and mocks them, but one resembles El Shanawi. It's confusing. They catch up and beat him up. The next day, Bimbo wakes after the chaos and being roughed up. He goes to his boss, who's at a place called the Kiosk, and that's Uncle Shamadan. You know Shamadan, right? Your name is at the kiosk. You get it, and he's Uncle Shamadan. You know, honestly, Shamadan is cool. How is that possible now? And his boss keeps scolding him because this isn't the first time goods have been stolen or lost from him. Like, come on, are you just pretending to be clueless or what? And the thing is, the boss, can't stand her because of what's happening. And Uncle Shamadan, is thinking about all the times the goods got lost from him, and he says he only has 1 month left to pay back the money for the goods that were lost. We see your Aunt Lana having a session with her friend Jalen in a sort of slaughterhouse. She argues with the boss because she dislikes the session. Later, your Uncle Bimbo meets a guy named Gaber at a bus station. He acts like he doesn't notice it's Wix and keeps talking, saying he's from Paris and everything. You get it, France. When will I ever visit Paris? He says he was robbed after coming here and now can't find a job or anything like that. And at that moment, someone is stealing from your Uncle Bimbo. Turns out Bimbo showed up to help just to get robbed. But their friend Maryam has been missing for a while, and she's not answering her phone, and she's also not at home, and she's always been a troublemaker anyway. And they're afraid something might have happened to her or something, and then they see another girl named Sonia, who's an influencer, an influencer. And we find out there's a serial killer targeting influencers. You get it, influencers. He's collecting influencers. Anyway, this killer threatened Sonia a while ago. Now she's terrified, knocking on neighbors' doors. And then your Aunt Lana sees on television that the killer also targeted her friend Maryam. And then we see your Aunt Lana at home with Bimbo, her dealer. And she tells him about the situation. He tells her to just give him Maryam's address and he'll handle it and find her. Of course, your Aunt Lana thanks him a lot and hugs him. "That was me, Bimbo." And Shaddy, his brother, is just sitting there like nothing's wrong. "What's up, Shaddy? The antenna is fine." Anyway, your Uncle Bimbo goes out and calls a guy named Cash. Cash is a gangster and he's rich in all of Amuhabash Takandi. He asks him for a favor to find out where Maryam is because he has a feeling. And who are you to me in the first place? Gaber watches your Uncle Bimbo, who catches him and suspects he's an informant, trying to arrest him. Gaber insists he's not an informant and says, "I know you're a dealer. I just want to understand. Let me help you." After much thought, Uncle Bimbo agrees, and they visit Maryam. Gaber distracts the doorman so Bimbo can sneak in. He sees the place is messy, finds a party invitation for Kasabani, takes it, and goes downstairs. Gaber then asks Mustafa if he found anything. He says, "No, I swear I didn't find anything." He then asks the woman across from Maryam's house when she last saw Maryam. She says about 2 weeks ago. She was arguing with a guy named Kasabani, and after that, Bimbo decides that they should go to Kasabani's party, the one they have the invitation for. They go and try to get into the party, but unfortunately they can't because entry is by name and account photo. So the invitation they have is for something completely different. He enters the girls' bathroom where Bimbo meets Sonia, a very strange and sad girl. "Why are you so sad, Sonia?" He tells her he's looking for his friend, Maryam El-Nahas. Kasabani's bodyguard interrupts, telling Sonia that Kasabani wants her, while Bimbo meets a girl named Shireen. She's weird and suspicious and doesn't get why others are so strange. And she gives him these looks, you know what I mean? And then she gives him her number in case he needs her for something, just in case. Her number's all zeros, seriously. At the party, your Aunt Lana tells Aunt Jalan she found Maryam's phone using a tracking app. When she calls, a masked man has it. She tries to follow him, but loses him. Later, Uncle Bimbo goes to his villa office and meets Mas Kasabani, who tells him, "If you want to borrow a book to read and return it, I really don't mind. It's totally fine, sir." Anyway, then he hears Suwaid's voice from outside, and when they go to check what's going on, below, Sonia fell on glass and is covered in blood. Your Aunt Lana wakes up with a headache, unable to remember anything, until her brother Shad tells her she was out of it at the bar. Then Lana recalls that Sonia died yesterday. Bimbo told her he wouldn't help again. She replies, "Her blood is on my neck," and asks, "What did you do to her?" Okay, is her blood really on my neck or not? Afterward, Uncle Bimbo hears a noise while showering, goes outside and finds Gaber, who asks to stay with them for a day until he finds a place. Oh, Gaber, you're really in it, Gaber. You're just sticking around like that. Relax. Anyway, your Uncle Bimbo gets really annoyed, but he agrees the next day because of work and the money he owes and all that stuff. After that, we see your Aunt Lana at work, and while she's walking, she runs into some kids who are into bass kick. Those are Yaya and El Safi, like, what's up with you, El Safi? They're hosting Sonia before she dies, watching the episode. Sonia talks off camera to Maryam, and Lana asks, "Is that Maryam, the one who feels things?" So she says, yeah. Jaber and Bimbo continue collecting debts from people. They meet Gracie, a retired former co-worker of Mimbo. Gracie mentions Keto, upsetting Bimbo, who says, "Don't bring up that name again." Uncle Gracie owes about 3,000 pounds, but manages to escape. Bimbo and Jaber meet, and Jaber stays behind. He knows he should go buy something, and your Uncle Bimbo enters the bathroom. Then Hammam Am. Cash Pure arrives, and the men pause. He hands him Maryam's file, who worked for Farouk El Gabri. Bimbo asks, "Thanks, but did you stop giving me info about her or what?" Fakash says, "No, we're serious. You're making things tough after I helped you. Now it's in God's hands." Then, your Uncle Bimbo goes to Lana. He gives her the file and says she saw Sonia fighting with Farouk before the party, suggesting he may have killed her. Bimbo, is Kasabani involved too? Because when they asked Maryam's neighbor, she told them she saw him, and she says to Bimbo that he and Gaber should help her, and she'll give them the money they want. So of course your Uncle Bimbo agrees. He needs money and wants to get money for the goods he has. And the three of them go to the club. Farouk always goes to this club, and Bimbo and Gaber look for him and find him in the sauna room. Bimbo asks him, "Where is Maryam?" Farouk asks him, "Maryam who, sir?" He tells him, "Forget Maryam. What about Sonia, the one you killed?" Farouk gets furious, so Bimbo and Gaber run off and spot Uncle Jersey from afar. So they run to him, and he's riding a motorcycle with Shamam on it. They take the motorcycle from him because of the money he owes. They want the motorcycle for the money. Anyway, at night they go to Sonia's funeral, and Lana decides to go up to Sonia's room. Maybe she'll find something useful there. They meet Slimo, who is a sports champion. He reached the summit of Mount Everest and all those things, and he's also the one who accepted Lana. Lana goes up to the room. She finds a file in the water, puts it in her bag, and they leave. They sit outside the house. They agree Farouk killed Maryam and Sonia. Gano and the others confront him after discovering his shady business, threatening to expose him to his wife unless he confesses. Bimbo says he saw him. Also, the dress is size 32, and it's definitely not for his wife, because that's not even her size. He confesses he fired Maryam for stealing and doesn't know her whereabouts. He insists, "I had nothing to do with this, sir. I swear I didn't kill Sonia. She was like a daughter to me." He shows them a video proving he was elsewhere when Sonia died. And of course, they believe him since the man has a solid alibi. And we see them at Bimbo's house, thinking about the situation. He checks Lana's phone. There is a woman constantly posting pictures of Sonia from the party, and in the photos, there are people taking pictures of Sonia. Bimbo tells them about it. He's sure that one of those people is the one who killed her. And we see Shamadan talking to someone, telling him that he gave him the plan and helped him to keep an eye on Bimbo. And at the same time, this helps him collect the money he's owed so that nothing harms him. Also, so he can find out who the traitor among them is, because he's sure there's a traitor between them. And, as we see, it turns out that this person is actually Gaber, and Gaber was sent by Shamadan to do all these things. He tells Gaber that Bimbo is innocent. He's not a traitor. He's living honestly and wants to stay with him to keep him on track and help collect the money. Before Gaber leaves, he asks Shamadan, "Who is this Kato, Pasha?" Shamadan replies that Keto was Bimbo's friend and a dealer with them, and don't ever mention his name again. After that, we see Uncle Bimbo, Uncle Gaber, and Aunt Jalen at Aunt Lana's house, where we took a mask. They're all together, mashallah, and Bimbo's explaining to them that the one who killed Sonia is someone in the picture with her. Actually, it's either Farouk, we're going to rule him out, or Kasabani, or Shireen, or Zaina. We see a video where the killer threatens Aunt Jalen to expose her with revealing photos, and she's shocked, wondering when such photos were even taken. Yalla Bilala takes Bimbo Gaber out, but Gaber gets annoyed at Bimbo for wasting time. He reminds him about their debts and urges him to focus on work, offering some advice. Bravo, Abu El Agwaz. The simplest answer to any question is, what's the real correct answer? Don't hold back. Just say what's on your mind. The important thing is that the story is as clear as day from the start, and the last person who was with Sonia is the one who killed her. The guard Kasabani was the last one with her, so that's it, sir. Why are you going in circles and asking me why he killed her, sir? Your Uncle Bimbo is shocked and says, "I'm really smart. How did I not think of this before?" Well, it's done now. They search for Kasabani's guard, Karam, get his address from a dancer familiar with shady people, then go to his house and wait for him to arrive. Your Uncle Bimbo finds a body in Karam's bathroom, so he screams, and then your Uncle Karam comes in after him and grabs him to beat him up. But Gaber steps in, and Bimbo realizes that the body actually gets up and starts running after him as fast as it can. Holy shit. Of course he tries anything to kill it again. Can you believe the body's alive? Gaber hits Karam on the head so they escape. Then, Shamadan goes to the guy Bimbo and his crew robbed. And it turns out he knows them. They're scared of him because he used to be their teacher. He finds out from them that they're working with someone named Eldoc, and that he ordered them to rob any dealer and take their goods, especially the kiosk dealers. He finds a drug they don't deal with and asks, "Where did you get this?" Bimbo, Gaber, and Lana follow Karam after Bimbo overhears his call, wanting to know our location. They enter a warehouse-like place, find Karam, approach him as a group, and Bimbo speaks to them. They call for Fresca, who comes out. Fresca says, "Wow, Uncle Shaheen, you really light up the place," as they try to calm things down. Bimbo says he wants Karam, but Fresca replies, Karam is his man, and it's not that simple. He says, no, he's Alexandrian like us from Badashina. And then Fresca mocks him. He tells him, look, we started this business together. Look where I am and where you are, man. Are you still working at the kiosk? He mentions Kito's car, making Bimbo furious and causing him to start belittling him. It's a stick-fighting match between Karam and Gaber, where one could die. Both step onto the stage to begin, but Gaber gets beaten because it's obvious. I mean, that Karam? Mashallah, you're generous, even with your muscles. Your Uncle Bimbo remembers the secret behind Gaber's strength. Suddenly, Gaber gets super strong. No one knows how. They insult his mother to make him get up and fight. Karam, do you remember back in the days of Fuad El Mohandes, when the villain was always like that? Anyway, your Uncle Gaber beats up your Uncle Karam, so both of them come to get answers from Karam, but Karam injures Gaber and escapes. And then we see Shady. They put Lana in the car to take her home since she's drunk, but the killer blocks them and sends a message to Jalen. They get in the car and drive off quickly, then Bimbo and Gaber leave. Bimbo calls Lana to ask her. He asks if Maryam knew Jalen, and she replies they didn't. He points out that since Jalen saw the killer while they were with Karam, it's possible Maryam could be the killer, but says that's unlikely. After he hangs up, he finds his stolen bag and a letter from Uncle Shamadan. I leave you the good, written in it. Give you what you need. May you have health. After Lana hangs up with Bimbo, she finds the killer. He threatens her not to get involved in what doesn't concern her. Gaber and Bimbo appear, and Bimbo gets a call from Lana. She says Hai needs a hacker, so Bimbo gives her El Shami's number. Uncle Bimbo also teaches Gaber. How does Dila manage to be smart enough to escape the checkpoint without getting caught? During the explanation, Uncle Bimbo is kidnapped, thankfully, and Uncle Gaber doesn't notice, thinking it's part of the explanation. Cash is revealed as the kidnapper, and then Jersey appears with Shamadan. And they say he made him unable to work like this because he wants to find out who the mole is among them. And he gives him this new batch. And they tell him to find out who is actually selling this stuff. And your Aunt Lana goes to Shimmy, but she finds that he's not in his shop. Another guy comes out and tells her that he went out for an errand and will be gone for a while. He tells her no. How can I take your word, your holiness? They say she wants to make a fake account, so he tells her it's illegal and asks why he'd do that for her. So she tells him that there's someone threatening to kill her and her friend, and actually, some people have already died because of this mess. Was there more than that, sir, or is there anything else? The important thing is he agrees. Next, Bimbo meets Cash and his gang, Ala Magia from Port Said. Cash reminds Bimbo he helped with Maryam's file and expects a favor in return. The gang has a long criminal history. Cash tells him that he knows he entered the farm. Cash says the doc trusts him, but has caused trouble and disrupted his business before. He and Ala Magia want him to get them inside the warehouse and are coming to offer him a job. And they have a bag with heroin in it, as if it's a gift for him. You get it. All this talk about wanting to work is just a trick. But in reality, they're going to take revenge for their fourth brother, whom the doc killed a long time ago. So by doing this, they'll be hitting two birds with one stone, avenging their brother and returning the favor to Cash for helping them with work. You get it. That's why they're going to the dock. Thank you, that's all. Jersey and Shamadan are talking. Jersey says the stuff is only at the doc's farm. Shamadan insists they must go, but Jersey says it's too dangerous. Shamadan says they have no choice or the need will kill him. If he doesn't put it there, of course he agrees. Lana and the hacker access the account, discover he sent threats to over 20 influencer girls, and identify who's behind it. It turns out to be Zaina, who was at the party with Kram and already knows Lana. Lana then calls Jaber to ask about Bimbo since his phone is off. He says he was teaching him the job and how to disappear, but it seems he went too far and vanished. He didn't come, but she found out. She tells him he must go with her since she knows who's involved and who brought those people, so he goes. They both visit Zaina, a yoga and energy coach known for her positivity. Lana tells her they know she's the killer of Sonia and Prem. She denies it, saying she was outside after being kicked out of the party. She was ejected for creating the killer's account. She was threatening the girls. They caused Sarita and her husband to divorce by spreading rumors they were siblings because they looked alike. One day, Sarita and her husband asked about the resemblance, and they truly did look similar. Really, she's actually Saba Al-Fal. There's a scandal here, guys. Lol, but of course they're lying to her. I mean, they're just flattering her. They're saying there's no resemblance at all, not even a little bit. Zaina says she doesn't know where Maryam is, and that Maryam could be hiding anywhere, because she might be scared. Bimbo and Al-Kamaji arrive at the farm and enter Deco's place. Security says the password, then calls Deco to inform him Bimbo is outside with others. He shows him their gifts on camera, welcomes them, and lets them in. This is where all kinds of drugs are made, and Bimbo sees Karam there. He is there too, and Madan and Jelsi are outside the farm. Madan is upset and wants to know the reason why the owner of the farm would keep the kiosk dealers. Like, seriously, what's the reason? Jaber and Ajlan chat and get along. Lucky you, Bass. Meanwhile, Bimbo and the others give the doctor gifts, and when one starts talking, they ask, doesn't the doctor get the riddle? And then they introduce themselves, and they say his name is Lou, and his brother's name is Asmiel, and their third brother is Dalfa, and that they used to have a fourth brother a long time ago named Shakush. Then he brings something for him, and Shakush was in his hand. You know, Lou, Asmiel, Dalfa, and Shakush are all carpentry tools, apparently. They start shooting and take the guard's shotgun. A guard forces Uncle Karam to open the safe and questions Bimbo and Karam about Maryam's location and if he killed her like Sonia. He says, I swear, sir, I didn't kill anyone. I ran after Sonia died because of my criminal record. I knew I'd be blamed for these cases. It's all because of Maryam, especially after he lost interest in navigation. Will we learn what these things are later? Your Uncle Bimbo tells the thug they're kicking him out because revenge won't bring his brother back, and mercy is pointless, so don't kill him. Man, he just wants to get rid of this whole show. Anyway, revenge won't put out the fire inside you, bro. If you hadn't done all this, they're running from Nakan, and Shamadan and Jelsi are so wasted they can't see straight. After Al-Kamajia and Bimbo, they go in together, and Dalfa is bleeding heavily. He looks terrible, clearly dying. At that moment, I call Bimbo, and she says they're wasting their time, there's no killer, and they're done searching, which shocks him. Like the tough situation he's in. What's with the word guys? When Bimbo leaves in shock, he finds Jabarthaklan, who's upset with Jalan and rambling that Shamadan sent them to watch Maz. He realized Bimbo is kind and sweet, maybe like chocolate, and suggests he could be the uncle. Bimbo is shocked by this. On the other side, someone enters a farm, walks among the corpses, and picks up a paper labeled Bimbo next to Deco's body. We see a minibus driver by the road, relieving himself. In Alexandria, we call this vehicle a microbus. Suddenly, he finds a corpse, screams, runs to his microbus, and drives away quickly. Uncle Bimbo wakes up, brings him over, and yells at him, hinting at what Gabber said yesterday. He also asks about his family in Paris. Gabber replies that he's alone with no family, and Bimbo responds, You? I thought you said you had a brother. Gabber tells him, You're like a brother to me, Mustafa, then changes the subject. If we pay your debts, will you still look for Maryam? He says no. Gabber tells Shamadan he's worried Bimbo knows they're watching him. Shamadan reassures him Bimbo will never suspect. But before he finishes, Uncle Bimbo walks in, yells at them, and is shocked by what they've done. He tells Shamadan he sacrificed a lot for the kiosk's success and asks how he could do this. He then tells Gabber he never wants to see him again and leaves angrily. Gabber follows, upset since Bimbo was his friend. Uncle Bimbo goes to Lana's house, but she's not there, so he asks her roommate about her. She tells him Lana is at a job interview. Shady then says he shouldn't expect a relationship with Lana. You see, there's a clear difference between them. There's a class difference. She's rich and he's a dealer, good morning. So he keeps making fun of Bimbo like that, and Uncle Bimbo leaves feeling very upset. But aside from the fact that he's a dealer and she's rich and all that, Shady, you're making me crazy, man. Anyway, Bimbo keeps going. He sits alone, feeling sad, flipping through television channels and finds Sonia's party photos. Suddenly, he remembers he has Shireen's number, calls her, reminds her who he is, and asks to meet. She agrees and gives him her address. I don't get how easygoing they are, but anyway. When Bimbo arrives, he finds your Uncle Bimbo ahead of him. He apologizes repeatedly, but Bimbo initially refuses. After much discussion, Bimbo forgives him and brings him along. He leaves him waiting outside Shireen's while he goes in. She makes them drinks, they relax and talk for a while. Meanwhile, your Uncle Jamber waits outside, wondering if they're finished. Bimbo asks her about Sonia, like, what happened to her? How did she die? And stuff like that. She tells him she didn't really know her well. She just knew her on a superficial level. Then she tells him, wait for me here. She says she'll go get something in return. She leaves to get lunch. While she's gone, Bimbo grabs her phone, unlocks it, and opens her chat with Sonia. He discovers Shireen threatens Sonia with death. It seems everyone here is making death threats. Bimbo calls Lena to share that Shireen killed Sonia and definitely kidnapped Maryam, but doesn't finish his sentence. He gets knocked out like a Japanese ninja, nearly punched, and wakes tied up with Gaber and Shireen. Uncle Cash, his gang, and the Japanese guy stand before them. Bimbo repeatedly asks, what do you want from me? Cash asks him one question. Where's the salt? Cash's two assistants visit Uncle Fresca, or Calm Uncle Shane, to get Karam from him and ask where the salt is. After much generosity and some threats to blow up the place, Fresca leaves and they take Karam. They keep him tied up and ask where the salt is. He says it's more valuable than the artifacts, but doesn't know its location. But the one who might know is Bimbo, because he came to him a few days ago. They ask about Sonia, and during the talk, Karam distracts them and tries to escape, but is shot and killed. He then tells Uncle Cash he committed suicide, and they dumped his body. Back with Cash and Bimbo, Bimbo is clueless about the place and the salt. Cash says, so you're set on annoying me now? You betrayed your people, so Uncle Yinny tortures you and tries to hit Jaber. One day he breaks Jaber's finger, and Cash Bay says Yinny will break another friend's finger every 10 minutes, then waits outside. They have 100 minutes before he breaks all his fingers, while Shireen pushes him and doesn't understand what's happening to his friends. She repeatedly accuses Bimbo of being a criminal, saying, I thought you were good, but you're a criminal. He responds, really, sister? You're respectable? Aren't we all related? He adds, weren't you going to help me? And you killed Sonia. Forget Sonia, does it matter? Plus, Checkershire, plus, Chem, plus, plus, user, embeddings user. Let's try another one. I was going to play with someone, but didn't get to. She asks him, what do you mean, play with someone, Ahmad? I was just hanging out with you, but honestly, I thought you were decent. Anyway, she thought he was respectable and suitable, so I could introduce him to my daughter. And also, I didn't even kill Sonia in the first place, I swear. I threatened her after discovering she sold hash at Kasabani's party and wanted to expose her. She feared Kasabani might kill her if he found out, because it's in his blood, with all the stealing and shady stuff. Another 10 minutes go by. As your Uncle Yen is about to break Jaber's finger, your Aunt Lana comes in and hits him on the head. And we see that she was in the interview, but after Bimbo's call, she got really worried and didn't finish the interview. She visits Shireen's house to investigate, sees men, then finds your Uncle Casho. She sneaks in, hits Uncle Yen, and keeps scolding Bimbo for causing trouble. They untie him, and Bimbo says it's a big deal. While Casho is involved, billions are at stake. He says Kasabani and Maryam are also part of this navigation issue. He doesn't really know what it is. Meanwhile, Casho and Bimbo walk in on them arguing and ask if this is really the right time to fight. He says they're here because of her and her friend. She responds that he's the one pursuing him and asks if he thinks finding Maryam will make him fall for her. That's never going to happen, sir. Bimbo gets upset, and Cacho interrupts, calling him selfish and mentioning how serious Keto was. Bimbo gets more upset remembering the black bag. After a threat from Cacho, Bimbo asks for a week to get the shipment, pleading for more time. Cacho agrees and lets him go since he wasn't getting anything from him. There's something I haven't told you yet. In the morning, Gabra is done. And when they leave, Bimbo asks Lana about what she said inside, and he asks her, have you ever seen me like this before? That maybe we could be together, Lana? Of course, Lana says. I didn't mean it that way, but we're very different. So you're like that, Larwan, my brother. You're just being stubborn as usual. Anyway, Uncle Bimbo interrupts her and tells her that she's going to meet Gaber, and he apologizes to both of them. Then Bimbo leaves. He's sad and depressed. In a shawarma shop, someone calls out, Maryam al-Nahas, and Maryam takes her order and leaves. You're so rude and spoiled. I've asked your mother all series, what are you doing, Mom? Afterward, Kasabani posts an Instagram story claiming he didn't kill Sonia, that the investigation supports him, and continues acting silly. He also says he's throwing a new party, and everyone has to come. We see Bimbo hallucinating, wandering from place to place until Uncle El Gaber wakes him, and Bimbo tells Shamadan he feels unwell. His right hand is numb and shaking, and he feels like he's dying. Come on, Cook, Uncle Bimbo. Uncle Shamadan sent you. We take him to what we think is a brothel so he can relax, but it's actually a psychiatrist's office, though we still believe it's a brothel. Do you understand? She tells him that young people consider visiting a brothel normal, but see going to a psychiatrist as strange and shameful. So we try to persuade them to see a psychiatrist. She tells him to share what's bothering him. Jabber then sits with Lena, asks about Jalen, and Lena says Jalen is coming soon. Uncle Shadi is there too. Lena adds, "You won, I'm throwing the party tonight," and that it's the three of them. They have to leave so Bimbo can think and solve the problem. They're upset because Bimbo is... But really, you're upset about Bimbo being upset when you should be upset for causing it. Uncle Bimbo talks to the doctor about his problem, and she says, "You're relying too much on Lana." She then asks about his childhood, and Bimbo gets upset, asking, "What childhood, ma'am? Are you trying to be my friend? Do you even know who I am?" She asks him, "Do you even know who you are?" Bimbo is shocked by the question and leaves. Later, Cash calls to say he's been kidnapped. Jalen, his friend, just to confirm, so he can bring him the navigation as soon as possible and do the exchange, man. And he asks Bimbo, "Wait a second, sorry, what does Jalen mean? What does it mean?" And we see that Cash's men were actually going to kidnap Lana, but they didn't know what she looked like, so they kidnapped Jalen instead. Which banana do you mean? What's the mission? Are Bimbo and Jabber with Lana? They go to the party, but can't enter without invitations, just like Bardo last time, so they just go in through the girls' bathroom again, very casually, and then they get into the party after that. And Bimbo sees Kasabani at the disc jockey booth, so he goes up to him and gives him back the book he borrowed from him, reminds him who he is, and Kasabani grabs him and makes him come sit with him to show him something together. And then Kasabani keeps talking to him and tells him that he's become lonely, and says that ever since Sonia died, he feels like he's alone. He has no one, and he planned to forgive her even after she and Mally from Augad stole from him. They keep joking until Kasabani gives Bimbo a pill called Al-Magra-Alia, forcing him to take it so he won't be killed. Hassan, things are changing. This guy is crazy. Bimbo takes the pill, and they keep drinking, laughing, and acting silly together, and they get wasted. And Gaber and Al-Ana are looking for Bimbo, but can't find him. So they decide to go into Kasabani's office to find out anything. And Gaber manages to steal the key with a slick move. Bashe is playing with the spindle and thread. They try to unlock Kasabani's encrypted laptop, so Lana calls Abbas, the cunning hacker, for help. Eventually, they open it and Gaber goes to find it. Bimbo again, and Bimbo and Kasabani are completely out of it because of what they drank in the first place. And Bimbo starts hallucinating with Kasabani, and Kasabani gets a call and tells Bimbo that he'll bring him back. So just stay seated. You too, illusion. Jabber tells Alana that Kasabani is coming. Alana hides, listens to their conversation about Maryam and the navigation, and secretly records them discussing a surveillance video of Maryam at the shawarma shop. Bimbo keeps getting scared by his hallucinations, seeing many things, including his mother, and just sits there with some sweet moments. Bimbo tells him the fancy stuff is with Jalen until they meet. When the navigation device is returned, Jabber gets furious at Bimbo for hiding it with Jalen and beats him up. From the force of the beating, Bimbo bumps into a guy, and that man gets really angry and throws Bimbo too. Jabber walks away while he's still angry. You know, like when Jabber catches you and Lana rescues Bimbo. She says they know Maryam's location and discuss God. Next, Shamadan is with Alu, and they're asking about the guy behind the new stuff, the one called High Wave. He tells them that this guy is very dangerous and powerful, and they couldn't reach him at all. He controls the whole market with his strength and might, and no one really knows who he is exactly. Here's some advice. Avoid that path and those people because anyone he catches disappears completely. This stuff is really strong now. We see Jersey walking around the kiosk and running into Kita face to face. Anyway, we see two guys and someone in a project asking them how to get to the desert and all that. Then he thanks them and leaves. Then another guy comes down, he's one of their people, and whispers in one of their ears, "Hammett." Anyway, we see Bimbo, Gaber, and Lana together, and they're really upset, trying to figure out how to save Galen and get Maryam at the same time. Lana gives Bimbo the video to deliver, and while Tamshadi wins, Lana and Gaber argue about their troubles. Bimbo interrupts to say he knows where Maryam is because the restaurant Al-Najm Al-Suri has only one branch, but it's actually in Cairo, so Lana orders from it under the name Maryam El-Nahas to get the address, and she finds out and they head out to go to her. We see Jersey and Shamadan talking to Haga, and he tells her that Jersey saw Kito at the kiosk and that he only said one word to him. But it's almost over, and Cash also finds out about the attack that happened because one of the guys from the beginning is still alive and tells him about it too. Cash tells the men that it's fine. Han thinks he controls the business, but will easily get rid of him. He tells his henchmen to kill Jalen if Bimbo doesn't deliver the navigation today. Later, Cash's henchman brings food to Jalen in her cell. Jalen tries to earn his trust by talking to him. You can stall him. Bimbo goes to Anna, Gaber, and Maryam to ask what happened and where the navigation is, along with Gaber. He's actually very upset. He threatens her to make her talk, and she says she worked with Farouk Sekretila and discovered he's involved in something bad. importing something called, "This device is a plastic piece placed on the automated teller machine card slot that stores all the card data." Bimbo asks her, "What does this have to do with Sonia?" She tells her she was at Kasabani's party and tried to plant the device, but both of them saw her on the surveillance cameras. And we see that Jalen made that assistant play along with her, talk to her, and trust her so much that he even leaves her alone. She sets up Instagram cameras and makes a lot of money. Honestly, I'll be weak around Jaylana. She sees a mysterious call for Kasabani asking, "Where's the navigator?" And the story continues as she convinces them that if they'd exposed her, they would have reported her already. They agree to work together, quickly making money. She reveals Kasabani killed Sonia after convincing her he was cheating them. Bimbo is shocked, as Sonia was to marry Kasabani. So why would she steal from him? She tells him it's normal and greed is bad. He then asks her what she graduated from. She tells him she graduated from American University in Cairo. He says he's lucky. Then she asks if she's like Lana. He asks if she knew how to do it. The whole thing about hacking and technology, how did you do it? She tells him, just from YouTube, it's very normal. How to make something in 5 minutes without seeing your loved ones, for God's sake. When he asked her about the fight with Kasabani and the neighbor she saw, she admits she was fighting with her on the phone. Bimbo asks, "So why are you making up this story and confusing us?" And then we see that Al-Haga is talking to Shamadan and telling him that they need to know about this keto thing and that they also need to look into the navigation issue. Shamadan gets a call from the same person who called Kasabani. Anyway, Maryam goes and brings the navigation device, comes in and gives it to them, and the navigation device is small like that. Maryam figures out how to slip away from them and escape. Anyway, they keep running and going, and Bimbo feels his heart beating fast and that he's dying, and he remembers some things from the past. Then his journalist friend comes and calms him down. After that, they find out that a car hit Maryam, and later, they find out that she's gone into a coma. You know, it's like pure Egyptian movies where they say, "You're important and we need to get information from you." But she's in a coma. They keep trying to kill. Judan tries to escape, but the con artist catches her. Bimbo realizes there's no hope, and he's in trouble. They keep getting into trouble, and the situation worsens each time, so he tells them to leave. And Lana says she needs it, and he tells her he knows, and that he's a dealer anyway. So, goodbye, high-class girl. We see Cash, Kasabani, Shamadan, and their men getting weapons ready and heading out to get navigation from that location. We'll see what happens next. Bimbo, as a child, sits before an opening. His mom, frightened, says, "Stay there, King, and don't move." He keeps sitting and waiting for her. And then we see another woman, the owner of a shop, coming out and going to him. She asks him about his family and tells him, "Come with me, I'll take you to them." He talks to her and says they should stay seated so his mom can find him when she returns. She waits with him for his mom, and we see after that Bimbo goes to her again, and from their conversation, we learn that she was the one who raised him after his mother left and never came back. He asks her why she chose to raise him. She responds by taking out 2 necklaces and asks when she promised him. She asks, which is more valuable? He says the cheaper looking one. He adds he learned from everything and is who he is. As a child, he played with beads and necklaces, scattering them everywhere, which bothered her. One day, she found him making a necklace that became her most treasured piece. She told him his life is like that necklace. He must create it himself, and to put the people he wants in the life he wants to live, but be careful because the necklace can come apart and fall. She says, "I raised you, my son, because I saw you as a jewel." You know the kind of things a mother says to her son? They go with Gaber to Lakash, where the candelabrum and old lady arrive. It turns out the old lady is Gaber's mother, and Lakash tells the old lady to give him the salt shaker and hand over Magillan because her son loves her. But the old lady doesn't care at all. She asks him about Kato, and Uncle Lakash is shocked. Uncle Kasabani and his men arrive, saying he needs to take the salt shaker, though he's unsure why. Uncle B-Boy then suggests that Kasabani can take the salt shaker for whatever the old lady wants. Lakash will return Jilan, and they'll split the profits. They agree, but Kasabani adds a condition. He wants to confirm the data on the flash drive, but they only find a nail polish head instead of any data. A big fight breaks out between everyone and their men, and everyone hides and follows their roles. Even someone's brother in the city is hiding. It's normal with the ongoing shooting. Gaber gets up to save Jilan, and he saves the assistant of Akash, actually. And then he finds Yin in front of him, and they start fighting each other like in Mortal Kombat. And then Aunt Lana comes and hits Yin on the head again, and finishes him off. As they're about to talk romantically, Bimbo is shot. Jilan, Gaber, and Bimbo arrive, and he reassures them. Kasabani killed Sonia by hitting her when she stole, causing her to fall off the table, then tried to cover up the crime. He missed one thing when Sonia was resisting. She scratched the table, leaving what was denied, exactly what he saw in his hallucinations. And Gaber gets up to make sure about the matter and calls Kasabani and asks him, when the companions were tortured, and did you torture Sonia? So he tells him, yeah, I did, but it was normal. That's it, we've been going in circles throughout the whole series until now. Yeah, just say it was yesterday morning anyway. And then he leaves to save Bimbo, who's with him, to get them out of there and protect them. He keeps shooting at the gangs, and he's really a pro, honestly, it's amazing. And he escapes, and a little later, we see there's a party at Lana's house. And Bimbo sees on the news that Kasabani has been arrested. Jaber and Jilan are singing together in a romantic way. And Bimbo and Lana keep talking to each other romantically too. She asks, "Aren't you more than just why I'm lonely?" That's it, we're left broken. And Bimbo hears Shahadi's voice whistling a certain tune. That whistle was actually the ringtone she had set on her phone. And Bimbo remembers this. Bimbo walks in, shocked, and starts whistling along with him. He can't believe himself and says, "How could I have been so stupid? You were behind all of this." He was with them before every step they took, and of course, he was always one step ahead. The whole thing with the computer and this technology was definitely his doing, and he's a hacker. The killer's account messaged Anna and warned Jilan to stop the conversation. When they saw the killer, he and Jilan realized Maryam had lied about everything, and that she didn't mention the police in the matter to protect him in the first place, and that he was with them during these steps, and that they worked together in this conversation. Who is this guy anyway? Sonia didn't steal. If she had, she would have fled instead of returning to Lail Kasabani. Her alibi contradicted them. Kasabani set her up and made Karam throw her off the balcony. He was among the guests present in Maryam's apartment and informed Shamadan, Kasabani, and Kasha about the delivery location. Shahadi says everything he said is true except for one small thing. He didn't talk to any gangs, since he knows that's Haidar. He acted like a thug to scare Lana and keep her away, claiming he had no other choice after their father left, traveled, and sent no money, forcing him to do it. And he says, "You're smart, but everything you're accusing me of, you don't have a single piece of evidence for." No one believed Dealer, but Bimbo surprises him. Tala records and streams it on Jalen's phone, causing a huge scandal and shock Khalil. "I'm glad for you, Shadi, but you've bothered me all morning. You turned out to be both a bother and a thief. He was worse, which mattered. And then the police arrested Shadi for it. And after that, the relationship between Gaber and Jalen develops, and Bimbo goes to the doctor to continue his treatment. And Shamadam leaves the kiosk, and that's it. Bimbo and Gaber are sitting at home. Bimbo retired from dealing and became a private investigator. Later, a woman arrives with her men and asks them to find and bring her Keto. Now you know who Keto is. Abbas al-Hakar, who actually helped us open the Sifa account. You're going to ask, why did he do that? What's going on? Well, I really don't know, man. That's it, Toto. The story's over.